Hello, and thanks for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec podcast, where we triple your impact per engineer because life's too short to lead an average team. Am I right? As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, advisor and consultant to tech execs worldwide. And today we'll be talking about proxy leadership. Now, if you've had your fair share of programming in OOP languages, especially typed languages, back in the day, you've probably had your fair share of using proxies. I mean, I've had enough of the proxy design pattern, and I know that I have overused it for a bit. But today I'm going to talk about people overusing proxies in their leadership, which I genuinely think is a lot more problematic. Let's start with a couple of examples to help you understand what I'm talking about. One case would be of the executive that has agreed to let a different leader in the company tell his employee he is going to be let go merely because this executive was not going to be in the same country as the person being let go for a couple of weeks. Now, mind you, this is not something that was unique. Their communication was usually done via Zoom because they are rarely in the same country. And therefore, this is not like breaking up with someone over text. If this is the medium that you use to communicate regularly that was good enough to hire the person, it should be good enough to fire the person with you as their boss being there. It is completely different to say that at a later point, after you deliver the news, someone else who is face to face and is also very senior in leadership in the company would come and talk to that person also in person. However, letting someone else deliver the news is just so bad because this creates a situation where you have a third party who has to deliver news, but they are not the authority. They are not the address for any questions. And therefore, whatever the person being let go has to ask, they usually cannot get any concrete answers. And even if they do get answers, they know that this is, second-hand knowledge, which is really not how you want anyone to feel. And I think that this sends a really bad signal to your team. So the first issue with proxy leadership is the fact that it usually creates this game of broken telephone, and you're sending someone else to do work that they cannot actually do well. They cannot genuinely represent you. I'm not talking about merely asking someone to let that person know you're going to be late for a meeting, right? I'm talking about things that are concrete. Second example would be with a different person that had a tendency of letting others deliver bad news. This VP, once realizing a deadline's going to be missed or that a huge outage just happened because of a stupid bug, would let one of the managers under them go deliver the news to the CEO, to the business stakeholders, and not do it themselves. And I think that this is a crucial issue because you have to be responsible. You have to show your team that you're there. You're not just there for when you're sharing credit. You should also be there for when the shit hits the fan. Pardon my French. I think that if you want to be an effective leader, if you want to be the type of a leader that people in your organization look up to, actually follow, that they would actually recommend to their friends, you should come and work with me. You don't know how amazing my boss is. If you want to be that type of person, if you want to create one of those career highlights for your employees, which is how you get to those incredible high impact organizations, you have to be a real leader. This tendency to use proxy leadership usually means that you're staying within your comfort zone, that you're avoiding anything that feels uncomfortable, and that you're allowing others to bear the brunt of giving bad news, of having to do things that they cannot do reliably. Just as when I'm talking to an executive and I realize that no matter how much I'm going to be talking one-on-one to this specific VP, the problem here is much deeper. We have to go all the way to the company's strategy to fix things because otherwise we're just rearranging chairs on the deck of the Titanic. And when this happens, If I feel that the VP really genuinely understands and is aligned with me, then all right, this is theirs. But if I see that this is not something that they understand completely or that they agree with completely, I will do what I believe is in my client's best interests, and I will go to the CEO directly and make my case. Maybe I'll find out that I'm wrong, but I will do that. I will not send someone else to make the case for me, because that would be proxy leadership. And I just know that this is sending someone to do something they cannot do well. Because once others start poking holes, asking questions, saying, what about this, what about that? If this is not yours, if this is not something that is within your purview, you will not be able to reliably answer. You will not be able to sell this, in air quotes. And if I'm sending you like that, knowing that you're very likely to lose, I might as well not send you at all. So don't set your people up to fail. Don't shy away from your responsibility as a leader. Just handle the tough conversation. I promise you, it's not gonna be as bad as you're fearing it's gonna be. And once you do a few of those, this connects, I believe, to episode number 1 of this podcast. You're gonna be working on your leadership muscle and slowly but surely make progress in these things. As uncomfortable as they will always be, will be easier. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. As always, do check out my books, my free community, my newsletter. Links to all of this goodness are in the show notes. Thank you. See you here next week.